is enough said.
Happy Taco Tuesday, Heat Nation. Your boy Ernest here, back with another Miami Heat Talk video. Guys, please show some support. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe as we continue our push to 6,000 subscribers. And together, let's go on another Miami Heat Talk adventure. Now, I did post a short about it earlier today, but I got to talk about it. Good Lord, this Miami Heat season is just one of those things like this. It's where you put your thumb and your index finger between the bridge of your nose and just... It's frustrating, it's annoying, it's mid as hell. But the Heat lose 4 straight last night against the Charlotte Hornets. After going 3-1 your previous 4 games, getting the 7th seed, you now lose 4 straight and you are back at the 9th seed. The Heat lose 105-102, a bunch of BS. Last night, it was the same story for the Heat. A double-digit lead in the first half, blowing it and getting outscored in the fourth quarter and losing. You get 23 points and 14 rebounds from Bam Adebayo. 21 points from Tyler Hero on 9 for 17 shooting. You get 19 points from Andrew Wiggins, 14 from Duncan Robinson. After that, nobody really does much. 7 from Davion Mitchell, 7 from Haywood Highsmith. I will say this, you guys, and I'm rolling up my sleeves because, man, I'm going to go. This Miami Heat team, I really thought after the Jimmy Butler trade was good enough to get the 6th seed. On paper, this team looks nice. The problem with this team, y'all, is they don't know how to close games. They don't have that guy. Now, as much as I respect Tyler Hero and as much as Tyler Hero has improved this season by being an all-star and with Bam Adebayo playing like an all-star since the move to the power forward positions, you have technically 2 all-stars on this team. But there's a lot of trouble that's going on. One, you don't really have the guy after that. You got Andrew Wiggins, who's been doing fine, but he's not that dude consistently. Kel'el Ware is still earning his stripes. You know, at this point of the season, you guys, March, there's certain rookies that tend to kind of like play a little bit down the way they played earlier in the year. You saw it with Jaime Jaquez. These college players play a certain amount in college. The NBA, it's a different grind. 82 games, you're dealing with injuries and nagging pains at this point, so it gets to you. So Kel'el Ware is going to take some time. Davion Mitchell, who I feel is a great filler on this roster, needs some time to adjust as well. But besides that, you don't really have that dude. Terry Rozier has been a huge disappointment. Duncan Robinson, who has been pretty good, still is not somebody that can carry the team. And everybody else that comes off the bench is just mediocre or a CD average at best. So when you look at this roster, you guys, and here's the funny thing, because people are saying tank, just tank. Sounds good, but the Heat are 7 games above the Brooklyn Nets for the 11th seed. In order for the Heat to tank and get out of the play-in, they need to lose probably every game this season, and Brooklyn or Philly needs to win games in order to make that 10th spot. It ain't happening. The Heat are also 6.5 games down from Detroit for the 6th seed. So even if the Heat go on this magical run and start winning a bunch of games, the chances that they're going to get out of the play-in, slim to none. So we know where this team stands. Play-in. The question is, where are they going to be? Right now, the Heat are a game and a half down from the 7th seed. They're tied for the 8th seed with Orlando. We've spoken about this before, but as a reminder, if you make seeds 9th through 10th, that game that you play in the first play-in matchup, if you lose, you're out. But if you make the 7th or 8th seed, if you lose that first game, you have one more shot. We've seen the Heat do this the last 2 years. They lose the 7th seed game, and they win the 8th seed game. Now, here's the kicker. If the Heat make the play-in and lose out of the play-in, they will fall into the draft lottery for the 2025 draft. So that means they will keep their draft pick, which is lottery protected, and they will get the Golden State Warriors first round draft pick. So that means potentially this Miami Heat team can have 2 first round draft picks, one in the draft lottery and one around the high teens, low 20s. And as we've seen, this Miami Heat has nailed almost every draft pick for the last 7 to 8 years. So you trust Adam Simon to have 2 first-round draft picks. The problem with that, though, if you lose and don't make the playoffs and keep your draft pick, you will lose 2 future first-round draft picks. Your 2026 draft pick goes to Oklahoma unprotected, which means no matter how you do, OKC gets that pick. And your 2028 first-round draft pick goes to Charlotte unprotected. So it's all about perspective. I've been mentioning this for weeks, you guys, but it's all about perspective. Do you want 2 first-round draft picks in a loaded 2025 draft, but lose future picks? Or do you want to make the playoffs, keep Golden State's first-round draft pick, but you lift protections for your future picks so you can add for a potential trade? It's all about perspective. What do you prefer? Now, what I want to talk about in this video, you guys, let's try to get positive for the 2025 offseason, because right now, there's really nothing to get excited about. The Heat are stuck in mediocrity no matter what they do for the rest of the season. So, what are we? 64 games down. So that means you have 18 games left. We're stuck in mediocrity for the next 18 games, you guys. But what we can talk about is what to look forward to, the 2025 offseason. Now, I want to give you guys some numbers. Right now, for the 2025 season, with the current roster constructed, the Miami Heat will have $176,542,132 in cap space. So what that means, the Miami Heat will be under the first apron in the offseason. This is going to give the Miami Heat some exceptions that we have not had for a very long time. The Heat have always been a taxpayer repeater offender team because we've had Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, and big-ass contracts. So when you are over the tax line, you lose certain exceptions. The Heat will finally get those exceptions this year. What does that mean? You're going to have a full mid-level exception, a non-taxpayer mid-level exception, which is almost $13 million. You will also get a biannual exception, which for this offseason will be $4.6 million. These are salaries that do not affect your salary cap. So you can even go over the cap, and you can even sign these players to go over the cap. So when you look at this roster, you guys, now look, right now the Miami Heat is gearing up for the 2026 offseason. In the 2026 offseason, you will have Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero under contract. You'll also have Kyle Anderson, and you'll have also a lot of options with Kel'el Ware, Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, and Pallel Larson. But right now, the Miami Heat are slated to have about $124 million in cap for that offseason. And Andrew Wiggins' contract, which he'll be making $30 million that offseason, will be a player option. So if he opts out of the contract, the Heat will have all that money gone. So the Heat could potentially have about over $80 million in cap space for 2026. But this offseason, 2025, what can the Miami Heat do? Well, a few options are trades. You're going to have trade options. You can trade for a guy like Kevin Durant. You can go after an Anthony Edwards. You can go after a Ja Morant. You can go after Trae Young. This Miami Heat team, you guys, with the fact that they're able to get double-digit leads on certain teams, shows me that they're an all-star or superstar player away from being a contender in the East. I know this team drops games in the fourth quarter. I know Spo has not been doing the best job this year. But if you give this Miami Heat team another all-star level player, a superstar level player, if you're able to get in a trade, this team will be an instant contender. Tyler Hero is the perfect number 2 option, and Bam Adebayo is the perfect number 3 option. You just need a superstar player who's not full of drama like that. Come mierda, Jimmy Butler. You need a guy who's gonna be willing to give it his all. Now, when you look at the offseason, you guys, there's certain names that are planning on being free agents. LeBron James, Fred VanVleet, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Chris Middleton, Julius Randle, John Collins, Brook Lopez, Malcolm Brogdon, Bruce Brown Jr., Miles Turner. A lot of these guys don't really move the needle. They're going to be free agents. A lot of them are under player options. So a lot of them can opt out of their contract and become free agents. Some will not. But this list I'm going to give you guys are players that fall under the mid-level exception line. These are players that I'm looking at this offseason where the Miami Heat can offer a 3-year contract at the mid-level exception. You have guys like Naz Reid from Minnesota, who would be the perfect backup power forward / center for Bam Adebayo and Kel'el Ware coming off the bench. This will allow Nikola Jovic to not have to play that position. Nikola Jovic can be your Swiss Army knife coming off the bench. Jovic can play so many positions. Jovic can play the 4, the 3, even the point guard at certain times. I like Naz Reid. Dorian Finney-Smith is another option as well, playing with the Los Angeles Lakers, a defensive wing who you always need like that coming off your bench. You also have Steven Adams from the Houston Rockets. Steven Adams is a guy that can also play that backup power forward center position for Kel'el Ware and Bam Adebayo. You also have Chris Boucher with the Toronto Raptors. Bobby Portis for the Milwaukee Bucks. You have Luke Kennard from Memphis. Chris LeVert from Atlanta. Now, Duncan Robinson's contract, he's going to be under a player option. I'm sure Duncan Robinson is going to opt in that contract. You also have Terry Rozier, who's going to be in the last year of a contract, making about $24 million. Andrew Wiggins is going to be on the final year of his contract before his player option. He'll have 2 years left, but the final year is a player option. So this offseason, you guys, it's all predicated on what the Miami Heat can do. Are you going to keep this roster and add players in the mid-level or biannual exception? Or are you going to look to make some moves? I think 2025 offseason could be the perfect time. Duncan Robinson's contract, if he chooses to opt in, will not be fully guaranteed. He makes about $19 million. Only $9 million is guaranteed. That can be enticing for a team. Terry Rozier, as god-awful as he is, has an expiring contract. Teams love that are looking to rebuild. Andrew Wiggins, solid two-way player. I want to keep Andrew Wiggins on this team for next season, you guys. I want to see Kel'el Ware, Andrew Wiggins, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and Davion Mitchell get a full shot in training camp. But I want to see this roster improve. I want to see this bench get better. You're going to have a mid-level and a biannual exception for that, or you can make a big splash in a trade. So Heat Nation, I want to hear from you. What do you think about the upcoming 2025 season? Would you like the Miami Heat to retool with their exceptions and get other players, or swing for the fences and go for a trade? Let me know in the comments your thoughts, guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe as we continue to push 6,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for the continued support. I hope this video helped. And until next time, your boy Ernest out, and that is enough said.